Hi, I'm Jeff Dixon. This has been a series entitled Found in the Shadows. We are looking at some dark places in life, and not really looking at specifically the places, but what it feels like, I suppose, when we're in those dark places. We're calling them when you're stuck in the shadows. The last thing I want to share with you as we wrap up this series, and it's just been some quick hits on reminding you that God does His best work at times in the shadows. It's simply this, that God will bring you through those shadowy moments by His grace. Go back to the night before His death. Jesus is with the disciples around the table in the upper room. They're having what we know as the Last Supper together. He began to share with them, and He knew they were grieving at the thought of His leaving. One of the things that He told them is a phrase that we're familiar with, but we don't really think about the implications. He said, "Don't let your hearts be troubled." He knew that they would be plunged into the pit of extreme persecution after His departure because they identified with Him. He instructed them to maintain His trust in them. He told them plainly that He was going to His Father's house to prepare a place for them and that He was going home. And then He gave a promise that we have been hanging on to ever since when He said, "I will come back to you and I will take you with me so that where I am, you can be also." In essence, He was saying, I won't leave you alone. I'm not going to leave you by yourself. You're going to be coming home with me. In other words, Jesus is coming for us. How can we be sure of that? Because He says so. So because of that, we don't have to stay in the pit. We can discover hope, purpose, unshakable assurance that no matter where we are, God is not going to leave us there, and it is by His grace, His riches, at Christ's expense, that we will escape the shadows and go home. I don't know what it is you're dealing with today, and I don't know how tough life might be right now, but I trust that in the midst of it all, that you won't give in to the feeling of despair, and instead that you would cling to the Father and rediscover hope. He will bring you out of the shadows. He promises that He will. Everything we've talked about in this series reminds us of that. And so when you are in the shadows, you're never alone, and He'll be there. Remember that next time that you feel the shadows creeping in on the edges of your life. And remember that as you strive to become the person that He has created you to be. Thanks for joining me for this series. Make sure you take advantage of all the series that we have here on the Church at 434 in Motion. And don't panic next time you're in the shadows. May God bless you.